on a game day for our Charlottetown Islanders playing in the Eastlink Center tonight against Halifax. I am joined on the phone now by play-by-play man George Matthews. How are you, George?
Well, Lee, of course, as we always say, it's terrific to be on with such a great personality here in Lee Ruby. But
thank you, sir.
I know we're talking hockey right now, and there's a 5-game stretch. Big one here tonight against Halifax, obviously.
Yeah.
And that's one of 5 remaining. And the Islanders battling for a slot and positioning come playoff time. As we stand here today and doing this interview, of course, prior to the game tonight, the Islanders are slotted to play against Rimouski. They've got a chance to buy that and possibly play Chicoutimi. They've got, as I said, 5 games remaining. They're 5 points back of Bathurst. And basically, if the Islanders win out, and they win all in regulation time. In particular, they've got 2 games against Bathurst. If they can beat Bathurst in the final 2 games that they play in regulation time,
yes,
and then pick up wins against a couple of wins against Halifax and St. John, who are near the bottom of the league in standings, that gives them 10 points, and they would obviously then move by Bathurst, no matter what Bathurst did against Moncton, and they would eventually end up playing Chicoutimi, which is a better draw. Rimouski is certainly a top team, as we've seen here on the weekend, and they're ready to go. So obviously you like to have a little bit more playoff success and play a better matchup. Not that they are thinking that they can defeat Chicoutimi with ease, but that would be a better matchup. And I think over the last couple of seasons for the Islanders, not having won a playoff game in either of the last 2 years, playing dominant teams, they'd like to have some playoff success moving into the offseason here.
That is correct, and they are in a basically choose-your-own-destiny kind of situation. They've really had Halifax's number this year. What do you think the team and Coach Halton's approach will be to tonight's game, just mainly focusing on what's directly in front of them?
Well, and that's what they can handle. I mean, again, they've got 2 games against Bathurst, 2 against Halifax, 1 against St. John. Big one here tonight, not that they can look by it. So right now on the season, it's been a tight series against Halifax all season long. We haven't seen them a lot since post-Christmas.
Correct.
3-2 against Halifax, and 4 of the 6 decided by 2 goals or less. But Halifax, not quite the same team that we saw prior to Halifax to the Christmas break. Halifax, they've made some lineup changes. They're more about the future right now, and they've struggled at recent date. Over the last 10, they're 2-8-2, and the success that they have had is in goal with goaltender Jacob Steinman. And that's a concern, because he's a guy that can come up with a 40 or 45 save game and rob you of a potential win. But Halifax, not the same lineup. They traded away a lot of their depth. Rousseau, Levesque, Martin, Crosby. Those are depth pieces that ended up going to Moncton or Rimouski. So, I think I know the focus for Charlottetown is to finish as high as they possibly can in the standings. They know the valuable 2 points that are up here tonight. I don't see them looking by that. But again, with this game against Halifax, they've got a relatively healthier roster here. They've really struggled here over the last 6 games, where they go 0-4-2. At one point at the start of the year, the Islanders in their first 19 and 25 were 15-4. But over the last 6 games, they've struggled to score, basically.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, the 0-4-2 that the stretch they're in right now, 5 of the 6 decided by 2 goals or less. 4 of those 5, the Isles have really struggled, where they've scored 1 or less in 4 of those 5 losses. They've had some injuries, and you can say, well, the injuries, you can't use excuses, and you can't, but, injured star players and teams make teams different. And for the Islanders, when they have a Matty Butler out and a Ross Campbell and a Simon Hughes, Butler was out for 4 of those games. He's back in, picked up an assist against Rimouski on Sunday. Simon Hughes steps back in and scores against Rimouski as well. So they've got a healthier roster. Kyle Powers is still sitting out the 3rd game of the 3-game suspension.
Yes.
Kiersey possibly might play this weekend. So moving to the next week, the Isles hope to be healthy, and then we'll see what they've got. But when they were healthy, they were a tough team to beat in January and most of February. again, injuries playing a bit of a role here over this 6-game stretch. So let's see what happens here starting this week.
That's correct. And obviously, you never want to talk about the option or the situation of injuries there, but it is good that they happened the time they did so they can be fully healthy to go in the playoffs and get ready for that run there. What do you think the primary focus is in the final games, George, before they really get ready to take on either, whether it be Rimouski or Chicoutimi?
Well, certainly it's to get their top line synchronized and back into in-game competition. When Butler misses 2 weeks, Campbell misses 2 weeks, Simon Hughes missed about a week or so. So you want that line to get back into a groove, and they're quite capable of doing that. Scoring, they've had some scoring depth over the absence of some of those key players, but you've got Leak and Powers making contributions. You've got young William Shields. He had 3 goals in the road trip as well. You've got Jude Heron, who's got 4 goals, 5 points in his last 11 games. So a bit of a back depth of scoring. They want that to continue to contribute. And, for the fun thing for the Charlottetown Islanders is that nobody's expecting them to do a lot come playoff time. It's the next couple of seasons where I think everybody's looking forward to as a fan base, because they don't lose much.
No.
Over the next 2 seasons, and they got most of their key pieces back. And anything that they can do to move forward and build confidence into these next 2 seasons during this playoff drive is certainly a bonus. And I just think for Charlottetown, they're trying to get their A game going. They're trying to get their scoring going. They're pretty happy with their goaltending. Owen Conrad has been a huge plus here post-Christmas. He was on a 10-game point streak. He's cooled off here a little bit over the last 5 games, like everybody has, when you're missing a Butler and a Campbell and these types of players off your offense. So Marcus Kiersey coming back, it'll be good to see him on the weekend if that's a possible situation. And just getting back to health, I think, and the game focus of getting involved with the playoffs and competing and building off of that competition for this playoff season, I think is what the goal is for Jim Holton and his coaching staff.
No, that's great. As always, I appreciate the time, George, and we look forward to your call this evening at 7.
Well, you know what? It's a fun time of the year, and for the Islanders, they've had a couple of tough years on the rebuild. It is getting better. The future looks a lot brighter now for the Islanders than it did over the last few seasons.
Awesome. Thanks so much, George. I will talk to you again very soon.
Okay, thank you.